Modern technological warfare requires constant modernization of all means in order to stay one step ahead of the enemy. To achieve this, mobile workshops and laboratories have been set up in the units of the 7th Rapid Response Corps, operating 24/7. Engineers are improving drones of various types. Our next segment is about the work of one of these laboratories. In the 25th Separate Airborne Sysheslav Brigade, which is currently stationed at the most difficult Pokrovsk direction. The soldiers are now raising money for the necessary equipment and drones. Throughout the report, the QR code will be displayed on the screen. We ask you to support this fundraiser.
Soldering irons, microchips, antennas, and a bunch of drones. This is what the drone workshop of the 25th Airborne Brigade of the 7th Rapid Response Corps of the Air Assault Forces looks like inside.
Here we actually do repairs, so to speak, of everything that flies. That is, something needs to be finished, something needs to be anonymized so that the pilots have the opportunity to take off from the dugout, meaning to sit directly in the trenches. At some distance, let's say from the antennas and other equipment, because all of this is about the lives of the guys.
The destruction of drone pilots is a priority target for the enemy, so increasing the operating distance, maximizing the distance from the line of contact is the main task for the engineers.
We are upgrading the communication systems. Pilots still have remote control. We can now extend up to 10 kilometers from the forward observation post.
Another important task is to ensure the ability to fly even under conditions of active enemy electronic warfare.
There is, let's say, a noticeable shift in the course of the war towards those same electronic warfare systems and technical means, because we are currently jamming a wide range of specific frequencies. They switch to other frequencies, our frequencies get jammed, we change frequencies. So it's like a race, an endless one.
Specialists servicing heavy bombers are also searching for new solutions every day because the enemy uses commanding heights, has its own technological developments, and jams a large number of our aircraft.
First and foremost, right now we're changing it on all aircraft. The type of communication, because of enemy electronic warfare and sometimes even ours, occasionally get caught by them and the aircraft become very vulnerable. The standard factory installed ones they come with don't always perform to their full technical specifications, to what they're actually capable of. Ultimately, it all comes down to jamming and the overall strength of the signal they provide, the standard ones available.
Engineers are also working on improving the design of the drone's warhead. To do this, they've set up a 3D printing workshop at the unit's base. The engineers say there are plenty of tasks to tackle.
In many instances, either completely homemade munitions are used or, let's say, factory-made munitions that are not actually specifically engineered to be dropped from a drone. In order for them to detonate when dropped from a drone, it's necessary to, let's say, carefully modify and adapt the munition, change the type of impact mechanism.
Every day the laboratory operates has an impact on the course of combat operations in the Pokrovsk direction, which is currently held by the 25th Airborne Brigade.
If our essential work, as I have mentioned before, were to stop even for just a single week, the guys out there at the front positions would really feel the impact immediately. We take on all the heavy lifting and the daily routine work, managing all these intricate nuances and difficult problems ourselves. Every bit of the negativity and frustration that comes from the manufacturers, from the logistics of supplies, and from the entire complex chain connected to the ephedrine is something we handle entirely on our own to protect them.
A powerful and relentless enemy keeps throwing new and difficult challenges, which these brave guys manage to overcome every single day. Reporting for Fakti, this is Alexander Volkov and Ihor Shevchenko.
You are currently watching a special, comprehensive joint broadcast brought to you by ICTV in direct collaboration with the United News Marathon, dedicated to delivering the very latest breaking updates and extensive, in-depth coverage of all the significant current events happening from across the entire nation and throughout the world right now. No, not yet. And that's very, very bad. You need to sign the agreement, agree, while it's still possible. Let me remind you that Iran, it seems, has now refused to negotiate with the US, and we have refused to negotiate with Russia. That's why Trump can give two answers. No, you can read it in one evening. What's most interesting is that, against the backdrop of these statements by Trump about the agreement about the no card, the Pentagon officially approached Ukraine with a request for help with drones, with fighter jets and specialists. And Zelensky said, yes, of course, we will help. We will help those who have always helped us. In general, a state of the free world. In the fight against the axis of evil, of course, we must help. Of course, Zelensky promised to help. So Trump says that we don't have any cards, but the Pentagon, meanwhile, its generals, are turning to Ukraine for help with their operation against Iran, which they are getting involved in. It's getting deeper and deeper. A very interesting situation. When it comes to help, we won't refuse. I hope Trump will realize this after all. I even posted this on my Telegram and on Facebook. Sazonov official and Kirill Pravdarub. An old video with a transcript when Trump, remember, was scolding Zelensky saying, "You don't have any cards, you're not in that situation." And Zelensky replied like, "Well, you aren't fighting. You don't know what it would be like for you in this situation." Trump admitted, "We always win, we're strong. How would you know?" Anyway, if anyone's interested in remembering, go watch it. As for no cards, everything is extremely difficult. We went through this incredibly harsh and challenging winter when Russia tried to subject us to a systemic thermal and energy genocide. We endured, we held on. We stopped the Russian offensive. Pretty much, in principle. In some places, we're even reclaiming territory, and in Donetsk region, we've pretty much stopped them. For more detailed analytics, for those who want to see about Donetsk region, I'm almost done. In the morning, I'll post it again. Telegram Sazonov official and Facebook Kirill Pravdaru. There's actually an interesting story there. They really want to take Kramatorsk and Sloviansk by force. It's not just that they want to. They don't have any other options. We're not giving that up at the negotiating table. But to do that, 3 issues need to be resolved. 2 of them are very difficult. One of them they've been trying to solve for 2 years and still haven't managed to. So, in principle, you can't say that we have no cards left at all. Russia's offensive has stalled everywhere. The winter genocide, we survived it. And we're not in a worse situation than a year or 2 ago. If anything, we're in a better one. And Trump should take that into account. All the more so since his operation in Iran is clearly dragging on, not going as well as planned, requiring additional personnel, new officers, new air defense systems that even the US doesn't have, and they're forced to ask Ukraine for them. This means that the generals who wrote Trump the strategic plan for this operation, and who are now telling Trump that Ukraine is losing to Russia. Furthermore, we don't have any good maps. It's the same incompetent generals responsible. Mr. Donald, make changes, make them directly, because bad analysts, bad intelligence officers, and bad planners are extremely costly in any war. Friends, subscribe to Telegram and Facebook, subscribe to this channel, we'll keep you updated on important events. Everything will be Ukraine.